I wrote a book.
It really is amazing advertising. You can't dispute that it's amazing advertising. We have to figure out a way to continue to trump up how giant a book this is going to be, because Stugotz really does have all these people working for him, and this is a big day, the day that we're announcing his book cover, even though we did it 5 or 6 days ago. Because the book is going to come out. It is being published by Random House.
It is. StugottzBook.com. Today you get an autographed copy. How about that? And an insert, a special insert, a book snake.
The Random House or just like a random house?
I made that joke in the foreword.
Yes.
I was hoping to save it. You just took it from me. It's okay. It's all right. No more Stugotz book jokes. I need them.
Well, it looks like it's Porchlight that is publishing your book.
Oh.
If you order on Porchlight between now and Thursday, you get an autographed copy. Yes. And an insert, special insert, a book snake.
Who's the publisher? Do you know?
Random House.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
There's a Random House logo on there. I think that's their logo.
None of us were sure.
Now, here's a question a lot of people...
Nervous for a second.
Question a lot of people are asking, Stugotz, is... What if they pre-ordered the first time you asked them to pre-order? Now they're not getting an autographed book, or they're not getting a bookmark? Because people started pre-ordering in February when you asked them to.
Talk to Random House.
No.
Send them that way.
Because it would seem as though...
I'll take care of everyone. Don't worry about it.
It would seem as though the longer you wait, the more desperate Stugotz will get, and the more you will get.
I will sign any book that is put in front of me. Okay? I don't care where you're from, when you bought it. I will
Does it have to
sign
be
your
book or?
Stugotz, how do you roll this out in a way that makes the people who want it most get the least for their dollar?
I'm just following Random House's lead here. I mean, they're telling me what to do and when to do it, and so here we are.
Now they can't get a book snake.
Oh, well, I'll get them one. Don't worry about it. Are you saying the people who ordered before today?
You said pre-order before, you get this. Now you say pre-order now, you get more.
I will bring this up to Random House on my next call, okay?
And it appears to be on sale today, too.
You're actively stealing from the customers.
How about that?
You're making them buy. Like the people who wanted the last ones are going to have to buy again. They're going to have.
Feel free to buy another.
They're going to
$7 off today.
Yeah, buy a dozen.
Back now.
It is a good time to have your own brand, as Stugotz has learned. Jason Kelce parlayed his thing into an ESPN job. He could have had any job, and it appears does this mean that RG3 is out at ESPN? Because I've read reports, but they're going to have to shake things up in order to make room for Kelce. And again, Stugotz, I will tell you, this is a fascinating thing to watch in the media age. When the athletes come for all of the great jobs and have their own brands, Jason Kelce has turned himself into what's going to be the most powerful offensive lineman voice there's been since John Madden. Like since whatever it is, since Art Donovan. Like, you don't get to be famous as one of these offensive linemen. You know, Art Donovan did talk shows. Dan Deerdorf, like, you don't get to be famous unless you get a microphone and get more famous late in life. And this is what's going to happen for Jason Kelce being Taylor Swift adjacent. Great job for him. Great job for ESPN. He's going to be an obvious star. A beer belly everyman on your football.
He's already a star.
Telecast. No, but I'm saying a whole bunch of people who aren't necessarily listening to Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce's podcast. Stugotz,
yes.
Football is such a giant, no matter how big your podcast is. You sit on television, and there are millions more who know your face and voice in a way they never did when you were a player. Not even Jason Kelce. Not even in Philadelphia. Not even in Philadelphia, where he is an icon. The football mask has always hidden these guys under stardom. Offensive linemen don't get this. And he could have had any job that he wanted in the media. Like, he could have literally made whatever move he wanted to in football. And I would love, if Amazon's going to make another documentary on them, I would love to see the business of what it's been to be the Kelces the last few years, because everything they've done to become non-quarterback voices for this sport. Stugotz, one of the fascinating things about all of the generational change around here is that football has survived going from the guys you loved, Roethlisberger and Romo and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. They're the league. They're the ones you know. Give them broadcasting jobs. Keep them in the media. Build the bridge to the future and celebrate Caleb Williams when he gets here, because the whole league is changing and it's Lamar Jackson and we want to keep this thing. Basketball's got a different problem. Basketball's got foreigners at the top of the sport. A lot of foreigners at the very top of the sport.
And a guy who can't jump.
He's a foreigner.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say foreigners being successful is a problem.
I would say it is because you want American stardom for American fans in basketball so that you can make the league change from the stars that were palatable before to, hey, if you don't like Lamar Jackson over here, are you sure that Anthony Edwards is ready to be face of the league at 22? Because there's some John Morant stuff there, not the trouble stuff, but the perception stuff that doesn't allow a guy to be a face of a league because you want him to beat Steph Curry or Jason Tatum or someone that has a Q rating that's palatable to generic bland customer America who's not going to be offended by anything.
And it's never the offensive lineman, to your point. CBS got rid of Boomer and Sims yesterday and replaced them with a younger Boomer in Matt Ryan.
I would love to know the offers that Jason Kelce got before choosing that one. And this is another thing I'd love to know. If McAfee says and Peyton Manning say, hey, come over here, they're letting us run ESPN. Come over here. Come over here. They're letting us. The ESPN is going now into the star-making business. We're going to go $17 million personalities. We're going to help Shannon Sharp build his brand over
It's
here.
not really star-making. It's like established stars.
Right.
Come here now. They used to be a star-making vehicle where people would ascend there, and there's still like a couple of outliers. But now it's just like we have a talent budget. They're going to the top line. Come over here, use us, give you a card.
I would love to know the bidding war that ESPN just won on Jason Kelce.
But do you guys think that Jason and Travis Kelce need anyone? Do they need Omaha? Because they stand on their own, right? Travis is as big a star as anyone right now.
Here's the thing, though, Stugotz, and this is the McAfee trade, man. He left FanDuel for less money, but this, and it was deals with Iger. Like, it's not even Pitaro. Hey, Disney's president. You need real help in streaming. What are you going to do, worldwide leader? Oh, we're going to buy some stars. Here we go. We've got to make football bigger, bigger, bigger. We're fighting streaming wars now, and we're playing with Iger. The athletes have gotten to Iger, Stugotz, and Disney's in a crucial business time. And all of this is fascinating because it's a new game. And Jason Kelce gets to play at the very top of it. He walks in through the front door and gets one of the best jobs, and it would have been the job of his choosing because Amazon would have wanted him. Everybody wants football. And I know people get tired. Our audience hates how interested I am in the media stuff. But if these guys are going to compete in business the way they did in sports, I want to watch that too.
It might end us.
No,
Sounds boring just watching people compete in business. I'd rather them hit each other.
Yeah, that's how we prefer them.
Yeah. I mean, imagine them in suits just in a business room and you're watching them go back and back in negotiation and just doing that game where you write things on a piece of paper and slide it back and forth. A boring thing to watch, I would think.
Are you not interested in the mechanics of what it is that the Kelces are doing?
I am a little fatigued that everybody just has to have a brand now.
Why?
That's why I just, the more I watch this Jokic guy, the more I with him. Hey, he's just going to go out there, roll the ball out. I don't care about a brand. I don't need a podcast. I just want to race my horses, do my damn thing. I don't even like this sport. I'm a brand. Get me the hell out of here. It's my brand. It's exhausting. High schoolers come into like college universities and talk about their brand.
But isn't this what NIL is? I mean, this isn't going to get any better.
It's just,
not
well,
gonna get
it's
any
really,
better.
it's not even NIL. People want to blame that. It's social media. You have to have a brand if you're an athlete. You have to. No, man. Just get 6 rebounds a game, dude. Yeah. Like
No,
you're a pulling guard. What are you talking? Brand? Okay, I'll help you with your brand. That's what we can do for you.
Didn't Wembayama just come up with a logo?
Yeah,
that's Nike.
Wemby.
Though. That's-
What was that name?
Yeah.
Nike.
So you want to try?
Wembanyama?
Yeah, he's right.
What did I say? Wembanyama.
Wemby.
You
First
seem
time you
scared
kinda
of it.
butchered
It's
it.
okay.
Wemby.
Well, can you just play for me, please, the music that just signals a little too late that people don't want to hear me talk about this?
Do you get annoyed every time Dan LeBatard pontificates about the sports media industry? Well, too bad, He knows you don't give a damn about what he's gonna say. It's time for Sports Media Talk today.
I want to listen to some D'Angelo Russell sound. D'Angelo Russell betrayed us
It's
the
another
other day.
brand.
Another brand.
Notice a brand Kmart. What happened there?
It's just
Why are we rushing to be brands?
I don't know.
Toys R Us.
Specifically in my line of
Bed
work,
Bath & Beyond.
much of my day is just left sifting through like podcast pitches, and it's just like I don't have the heart to say like you're not a brand. You're a pivot midfielder for the New England Revolution. Like you're not a brand.
I could see where you would get tired of all of this, but I would assume that all of the things in athletic business are changing because every athlete...
Subscribe to my Instagram package and X, I guess is what they're calling it. It's just $2.99.
Right.
Wow.
And that money goes directly in the pockets of women's basketball players here. So
Almost like
Help
you're a
us out.
brand.
To their brands?
I mean, if I have to leverage my brand to help their brands, let's do it.
D'Angelo Russell, Stugotz, last night, he's been a very frustrating player for the Lakers. The other night, we lost a Thursday Thunder because we had D'Angelo Russell getting 17 points or over, and he scored 0 that night. And D'Angelo Russell was asked here because he's going to leverage his situation, his brand, which is returning to Lakers, right? This brand left and now returns to the Lakers, and they cannot count on him at the end of LeBron James's career. But this is what he had to say in assessing his season, because these couple of sentences together, when I read them, I laughed out loud.
Just looking back on the totality of everything, how do you view this season and what you feel like you proved?
Oh, hell of a year by D'Angelo. Humbly saying that. Through the ups and downs, through all that.
Those two sentences
love
back
that.
to back. Hell of a year by D'Angelo. Third person on your own name, humbly saying that.
I love it.
Come on.
That's great.
You can't.
You can.
Oh, look, Taylor. That is Taylor. We've got to go. Taylor has now arrived finally in New York at Madison Square Garden after 28 hours. We go to Taylor. Look how happy he is. We go to Taylor next. Stugotz, I have asked the people who have been this far along on the journey with us to support the people who support us. And Game Time has been a very good sponsor to this show. They have taken Taylor, who is a Knicks fan, and turned him into content. They have made him somebody who, on behalf of Meadowlark Media, is riding through the swamp ass of the eastern seaboard in a train to get to Madison Square Garden and a train station so that he can be foul and smelly around Joel Embiid this evening. It is a Knicks fan's dream and delight to be loud and proud on a train headed to support the Knicks tonight.
It's called Penn Station. It's not your average train station.
Okay,
it's Penn Station.
All right, but it's ass. It smells like ass train station.
It does,
28
yes.
hours.
It's the Mecca. So yeah, and it drops you off right there, belches you out into Madison Square Garden, where you can then heckle and make fun of Joel Embiid. So Taylor has arrived. Our thanks to Game Time for making all of this happen. Taylor, where are you? What are you doing? What are the stories from the trip that are worth telling? 28 hours on a train.
Yeah, I am in Penn Station. Stu, I could kiss the ground right now, but you know how dangerous of a game that would be.
Wouldn't do it.
Very, very dangerous game. I get on the train, and the first stop, there's nobody sitting next to me. The second stop, somebody gets on and sits next to me. I'm like, hey, where are you going? And this guy's like, I'm going all the way to New York. And I'm like, oh, my God. It was worst case scenario, a guy sitting next to me the entire train ride. But along the way, Florence, South Carolina, Washington, D.C., people were stopping and really treating me like I was running a marathon, looking at them. And, a lot of them were saying, like, Taylor, you could do it. We believe in you. It felt a little weird at times.
Like fans of the show. Fans of the show are climbing aboard the train during stops and bringing you like snacks and support.
Yes, exactly. They're asking me what kind of snacks I like, when I'm going to be in their city. They're tracking the trains to see when my stop was going to come through their town. And some of these are like 2 a.m. in the middle of the night.
Well, wait a minute. How much time?
So
how much time do they have with you at each stop? Do they just run in and give you like some goldfish and then run out?
It feels like when you see like a garbage guy going through a town where it's like he gets off, he puts the garbage, and he's still the truck is still moving. He's got to jump back on. That's what it felt like at times. And I tried to talk to them for a bit. But then somebody from the train would be like, "Hey, you got to get back on." And I think everybody
That's a great out.
was kind of
It's a
looking
great
right
out.
at why.
So it's literally Taylor swiftly. It's as quickly as we can do this. You have to get back on the train. Nice meeting you.
Yes.
I was only here for 4 minutes on my way to 28 hours elsewhere.
Yeah, and a lot of people were looking at me like, "Why is this guy getting off the train? And who are these people?"
Because you're a big
that are just
celebrity.
handing
No,
him-
who's getting off at 2 a.m.? They think you're a drug mule along the Eastern Seaboard. You've got these choreographed stops where people are handing you boxes. You're being arrested by a bunch of teams when you arrive at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and the guy who was sitting next to me on the plane was like, "Yeah, I'm afraid of flying, so I was just vacationing in Orlando. So I'm coming back to New York." And he was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, how much time do you have? It's kind of a long story, kind of a weird story. Nothing really makes sense about it, but bad news for Joel Embiid. I made it.
Yeah, do you have anything left, Taylor? Are your legs going to be underneath you today? Because they're going to need every ounce of that energy. And once again, thank you to Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use a code TRIPFROMHELL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Game Time was very kind to send Taylor to Madison Square Garden via train.
I was told.
Yeah, my biggest.
That was
Go ahead,
a
Bill.
question for Taylor.
Oh, sorry. No, I was told as part of his penance was he doesn't have a room. So are you just wandering the streets from now until game time?
I'm from New York, so a little bit outside the city. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to meet up with my parents later. I'm gonna send a few texts to Pablo, see if I could shower at Pablo's.
We couldn't get you a hotel room?
The answer's no from Pablo, just so you know. Listen, there's a Blarney Stone a couple of blocks away. Go there. Tell Jimmy Stugotz sent you. He'll have you spend the entire day there. He'll make you some soup. It will be a great time. Or you can go to the Heart, which is right down the block. You tell Mikey there that Stugotz sent you. You're good. Baked clams. Fantastic.
Taylor, do me a favor. Taylor, do this and record it.
Yep.
Say that all again, please. Do this. Try and get what Stugotz is promising you, and take me where that journey ends up.
The baked
please.
clams specifically.
The Heart, which is right down the block. That's Mikey. Tom Stugotz sent you great baked clams. I recommend a cheeseburger, perhaps the 2 dogs and French fries. Very good. Okay, not dirty water dogs. You can get those anywhere. These are Heart dogs.
What's Mikey going to do for him?
Well, Mikey will take care of him.
Treat him like a king.
He'll have a place to stay the entire time. I believe there's a shower at the Harp, so you'll be able to shower there. And then you have the Blarney Stone just a couple of blocks
but
away.
You're offering Taylor. He's saying he's going to shower at Pablo's.
I'm offering him a roof. I mean, that's what I'm doing.
You're offering him lodging.
Well, and alcohol. Yeah.
Food and lodging.
Yes. And friends and conversation.
Should you be doing that on behalf of somebody without checking with them first?
Well, I mean, talk to Mikey. Tom Stugotz sent you. See how it goes.
I trust you.
There you go.
All right.
My biggest worry is that I've slept maybe in like 30-minute increments for the entire 28-hour trip, that I'm going to be so tired that I fall asleep before the game and miss the game completely. So I'm going to have to set a lot of alarms.
You weren't able to sleep on the train?
Very few and far between.
Any other highlights worth reporting?
No, this train ride was for all the little people. Everybody who doubted, everybody who said I couldn't do something.
Yes.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Game Time.
Okay,
A champion.
An underdog acceptance
Going to the game
speech
tonight.
from Taylor.
We need the
champion.
Sixers to win
A
today.
real hero. Taylor's a real hero on behalf of his Knicks. What did he do?
Well
He
done.
just sat there for 28 hours.
You did have to talk to somebody
Yeah,
like
that
the
guy
whole
chirping
time.
at him.
That's real bad.
He sat there and alerted the authorities.
Did you trade contact info?
You don't tell that guy your destination. What you do to get rid of him is say, hey, this is my stop. You get out, you get on a different cart. I mean, that's what you do.
Okay, but they're assigned seats.
I mean, really?
You still have
no
your
one's paying
wallet.
attention.
Okay,
on an
stunning
Amtrak.
that Stugotz would be a train
You
expert.
sit where
Yes.
you want. I
Okay,
mean,
good talk,
GA.
Stugotz. I'm glad that you would provide excellent analysis of GA on a train for 28 hours. Don't know the last time you've been on a train. Don't want to talk to you about this anymore. Taylor, thank you for being on with us.
Guys.
Excellent.
Good
dismount.
dismount.
Say hi to
Excellent
Mikey.
dismount.
Was that the promo code you were trying to say? Trip from hell.
Trip from hell. There it is. Just a skew. I love that as the end of the video. Just a train station. A heroic finish to a heroic trip. 28 hours where he just sat his ass on a train. It would be unpleasant. We're all agreeing with that, right? there are very few circumstances, if you're not in a room that has a bed in it or something, that sitting on a train for 28 hours isn't going to be unpleasant, right?
No, it sounds very unpleasant. And kudos to Taylor. The Knicks mean that much to him that he would pitch this idea himself. To get some airtime. Come on, we know what's going on there.
We all know.
But this was good. So pretty much now the bar is he's either got to be on a speedboat,
that's right,
or ride up the entire eastern seaboard via train. And we actually the proof's in the pudding. Solid segments.
I want to memorable segments. One of them derailed our relationship with the Daily Show, but memorable segments nonetheless. The thing I wanted to ask you guys, because I know a lot of people object to me, quote unquote, talking politics or being about politics, when yesterday is about as sportsy of a show as we've ever done, because I also like sports, but I am interested in the human condition and not politics. But I saw here a story, and let's just take the politics out of it for a second, because a South Dakota governor, put it on the poll, Juju, at LeBatardShow. Have you ever met somebody from South Dakota? I have not. At LeBatardShow. Have you ever met someone from South Dakota? But the South Dakota Governor, Kristi Noem, is being talked about as a vice presidential candidate for Donald Trump. And I don't want to get into everything that will be happening in 2024 as we try to distract ourselves with sports during a poisoned election year where we're really choosing between two old people who don't represent the best of what you'd want for our future in leadership, just because they're I don't mean to be ageist about this, but we can do better in terms of declining mental facilities on both counts. And everything that you're seeing in front of you has a lot of poison in it. And Kristi Noem is now under duress because, do you guys know this story? She has written in a book, evidently, that she had a dog, a 14-month-old dog, who was named Cricket. And Cricket evidently ate up like a neighboring chicken pen, and so in proving that she's what America needs for the future and how tough she is to get messy and ugly, she took Cricket, 14-month-old dog, out and shot it, killed it, and did it herself. And people are arguing about this, whether this is fit for leadership or not. And it just got me to thinking about everything that happened with Michael Vick and how Michael Vick is, him and Greg Cote are the only ones who are allowed to come back from felony to doing sports media and having public voice. Michael Vick couldn't have expected whatever was coming with him from dog lovers. But when you guys hear this, just this, take the politics out of it and just make what it is I am the story. When you hear somebody does that to a 14-month-old dog for being a dog, and the dog, incidentally, also bit her. So if you don't think dogs deserve anything and should be shot, maybe you are out there. But you hear that story, and as an animal lover, I just recoil. So you hear that story, the rest of the group hears that story and does what with it? Yeah,
it's a terrible story. I mean, you don't shoot a dog under any circumstances, I don't think, unless it is grievously harmed a human being and is just.
Have you seen the movie Cujo? That's certainly a circumstance.
A rabid dog.
You had to shoot that dog.
You had to shoot.
Yeah, you had to shoot that.
There was no option. Right.
Okay, that's fine. It did happen a long time ago. It happened like 10 or 12 years ago, which I think is a mitigating factor a little bit. I don't know what her state of mind was at that time, but it was a hunting dog that was apparently a terrible hunting dog. Okay, so instead of shooting it, give it to somebody who's going to raise it as a pet.
It needs to be trained. It's a puppy.
Yeah, and it's a very trainable breed, the German short-haired pointer. My neighbors had German short-haired pointers. I knew the breed quite well. Wonderful dog. But
strange wheelhouses today. That and the 1973 wife swap.
Yeah.
Strange places for you to have expertise.
You know what? As an 18-year-old, I was the youngest official scorer in professional baseball nationwide.
That's amazing.
It's incredible when I think back to it. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's been a lovely cruise.
It has been a lovely cruise.
Yeah.
In fact, Pete Ward, who was the manager of the Fort Lauderdale Yankees at one time, called up to the press box to try to get me to switch one of my calls so that one of his pitchers would get a no-hitter. But that's a whole different story.
Right.
I would never shoot a dog.
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
I am. I don't think we've had a lot of hard net workouts better than that one. Now I know that the hard net workout has been a little inconsistent lately, but I will assure everyone listening to this that Greg Cote is never in on the joke. Never ever in on the joke. It infuriates him. He still doesn't understand it. I believe the best one ever. The best one ever was this one. I don't think this one can be topped.
Me, Dan, everyone. We told you repeatedly to go to the doctor. You ignored us. You finally went to the doctor, and the results of your visit to the doctor were what?
Yeah, after several tests, they found a tumor in my chest.
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cote on ESPN Radio.
It wasn't. Now, what just happened wasn't quite that good. It wasn't quite that good. But do you want to take me through what it is that just happened to you? Because you kept talking after the break, but we had already clipped you at what was it that you said that you I would never shoot a dog, a non sequitur from what it is that you had been talking about.
I can't remember where. I think I was talking about official scoring, right? As an 18-year-old.
No, you were talking about the place that I was hoping that story would go is you would tell us whether that bribe worked or not. But you segued without any warning, or you segued as if you saw the hard net workout coming and needed a funny joke to get before the 1 second.
I can't remember going from one to the other.
Could they have bribed you?
No, they couldn't have. Of course not. And Pete Ward would never do that. Went on to have a decent career as a Chicago White Sox third baseman, corner infielder. But I think that was before his manager.
Why are you telling us this?
People care. A lot of Pete Ward fans out there.
He tried to bully you into a no-hitter.
Yeah, he called. He called up to the press box.
He was suggesting.
I think he knew that I was very young. But as I was saying off air, the older gentleman who was the scoreboard operator and another older gentleman who was the announcer, I would consult them because I'm 18 years old.
Sure.
If it's a close call, I'm like, hey, you guys see that as a hit like I do?
Right.
And so I believe we were all simpatico on this call. Pete Ward did not agree with it. I don't recall him yelling or threatening. I just recall him.
Thank you for bringing that story back to light all these years
you're
later,
welcome.
giving us all the details the Pete Ward details that no one knew to have or cared to have.
That's exactly right.
What if old Pete Ward pulled out a C note? You give him a no-hitter? Or?
I'd probably negotiate upward.
There's no amount of bribe that would have gotten you, an 18-year-old Greg Cote, to change his call?
No. I'm a man of integrity.
All right. The thing I wanted to ask the group here, because Jerry Seinfeld is now going viral, Stugotz, and you know that I like to talk about the climate that the funny people find themselves in. Jerry Seinfeld is close to 70 years old. Jerry Seinfeld, comedy tends to age poorly generally, and I understand in the climate of today why comedians, even the greatest like him, would look at what's happening around comedy and not like how stifling it is. So I want to, as someone who has deeply admired Seinfeld's choices, Stugotz, because he just quit with the best television show and then made a really other cool television show, doesn't have to do anything else, and makes funny things. His stand-up special is, when he travels the world, it is a comedian's stand-up. Even if it's about nothing, the comedy is expert. You are watching a craftsman who all the other comedians want to please because he is the king of, I took this thing that is the hardest thing. You don't get any health benefits. It's just you and your funny, the expectation of funny. And I turned it into, I've got studios filled, airplane hangars filled with cars. I love classic cars. I'm a monster success. And then my co-creator goes and creates another show for 12 years that is one of the best shows, that never runs out of material, that honors the first show. The run of television over 25 years there, you're not going to find anything like it. Those guys are comedy gods. But Jerry Seinfeld, like a lot of comedians, even the ones who would tell you the way to handle today's cancel culture is be a better comedian. Be better at comedy. Don't complain about people getting offended. Just be better at comedy. Here's Jerry Seinfeld giving voice to something that is aging out in America. It's aging out in funny. It's aging out, and it feels threatened because young people have a different standard, and they'd like their comedy sometimes to be a little more polite, a little more decent.
Nothing really affects comedy. People always need it. They need it so badly, and they don't get it. It used to be you would go home at the end of the day, most people would go, oh, Cheers is on, oh, MASH is on, oh, Mary Tyler Moore is on, All in the Family's on. You just expected, there'll be some funny stuff we can watch on TV tonight. Well, guess what? Where is it? This is the result of the extreme left and PC crap and people worrying so much about offending other people. When you write a script and it goes into 4 or 5 different hands, committees, groups, here's our thought about this joke, well, that's the end of your comedy. They move the gates, like in skiing. Culture, the gates are moving. Your job is to be agile and clever enough that wherever they put the gates, I'm going to make the gate.
And he is, and he has been. He hasn't had very much in the way of ever stepping in it. And it can be said again, Larry David has navigated this course for 12 years since Seinfeld and has done it wildly successfully and has done it without any issues. But that would be politically on the other side. What Seinfeld is saying there is different than what Larry David has been. I don't think Larry David complains about PC culture, does he?
I don't think so. It was also interesting that he singled out the left instead of the right, or both, or neither. But I think he's right. I mean, nowadays you have to be so careful about what you say and who's in the audience and whether they're going to heckle you. I think heckling is back with stand-up comics now because you're going to offend somebody by saying just about anything, unless it's benign observational humor.
Is heckling back? Are you making the announcement that not only the Panthers are going to win the Stanley Cup, but are you also making the announcement that heckling is up at comedy clubs?
Heckling is back. Yes, I am making that announcement from observation. I am.
My observation is that comedy is having a real renaissance period right now, and everyone is getting over on the fact that there's this presumed boogeyman of PC culture. I mean, making fun of the culture has been hugely financially rewarding for all these big top-line comics, that if there were actually these things in place that were out there to cancel them effectively, wouldn't be as huge as they are right now. It's a very convenient argument. And it's almost as if the industry has to keep propping that up because it goes directly into their wallet if you have this renegade stand-up comedian that goes at that notion.
It pays to be Andrew Schultz. It pays to they are filling out arenas right now.
That is mainstream. Mainstream comedy right now is to openly have open disdain for this presumed villain, this foil of the art of stand-up comedy. And right now in my lifetime, stand-up comedy has never been hotter.
But I would say there is a foil, though. The thing that is happening with what Seinfeld is saying, Stugotz, that is both right and wrong, is there is a whole bunch of comedians, Mike was lamenting brands before, who have their own counterculture thing, who might be too hot for everything else in America, who are absolutely using corporate control, Andrew Schultz among them, as the new thing to say, the way people used to complain about just the media and everyone can get behind, the media. The idea that corporations are trying to control, though, they are. That's not false. Like
they are.
There are more hands in this pot telling comedians or trying to tell everybody what to do than there have ever been. Aggressive.
And they all have Netflix specials.
Middle
That
managers.
That works to the comedian's advantage, though. It gives them a foil. It gives them something to rail against.
These big-time companies that are standing in the way of progress and actual true comedy. Let me work with Netflix. It's a little hypocritical. Like, we can all see through it, and it's great for the industry to keep that perception out there.
I don't think people see that,
I
Mike.
think that there's a real difference between, say, what Chappelle was doing over the course of, and I don't want to rehash it, over the course of 3 stand-up specials where one of the great communicators of our time struggled to get a joke across the line, and just, saying like, what, I can't make fun of unibrows anymore. It's just a little bit different, but it's all good. The tide has been raised by, whether we like it or not or agree with it or not, the perception is reality. And the tide has been raised because all these talented comedians are having a go at it.
I don't think most people see it, though. I don't think that most people understand that it is at least a thriving time in comedy, because Louis C.K. can exist in a place amid all these other podcasts where it feels like they're too hot for the mainstream, and they continue to feed their brand as the only places that you can get Louis C.K.
That's why it's intellectually lazy to just label everything cancel culture, or previously, and I know Seinfeld's trying to bring it back, like what's referred to as politically correct behavior, because it's not a catch-all. There is a difference between what Louis C.K. did and then having to go at an overweight audience as a part of the crowd work in your act. Like it's just different, but it all gets to say someone's out to get me, and everyone loves, even when they're not, at a central casting looking like a victim. It is very popular in today's day and age. It's a brand to play the victim.
Okay, Mike, you're more of a consumer of stand-up comedy than I am, so I'm going to ask you this.
But you just announced that heckling is back.
I believe heckling is back. Yes.
I think heckling's back too. Because
I can't
stand-up comedy
it.
is back. Because
Right.
more people are going to see stand-up comedy shows, so you'll see more.
But here's my question. You're implying that there's some renaissance and big comeback for stand-up comedy. I would suggest there's just more stand-up comics who are feeding on the fact that there's a hunger for content. We see it in sports, and we're also seeing it in comedy, where there's so much streaming and so many opportunities to have televised stand-up comedy.
Yeah, but I think it's concrete data. Like Netflix is spending more on these specials. Comedians are really enjoying the fruits of their labor in ways, and in many ways it was brought about because of the pandemic, because these people were out there, people were stuck to their devices, stuck in their homes, and a lot of comedians, Andrew Schultz chief among them, I think, and Joe Rogan, were speaking in real time to a crisis of people's lives. And because of that, people were binging stand-up specials and found more out. Things like TikTok and IG Reels.
They're podcast clips.
Yeah, the pandemic also helped. And this whole culture of some of it legitimate, but this thing that is standing in the way of you laughing and having a good time in your time out, it all mixed up into this amazing stew that's making a lot of people a lot of money.
A thing that's not real. They exist with great freedom to laugh at everybody.
Or maybe I fainted, I woke up confused today. This is a lovely bruise. Yeah, baby, this is a lovely bruise. Yeah, honey, this is a lovely bruise.
I want to shout out Yeti and Andrew Streeter for all the fine work that they do for our show and for the Greg Cote featuring Greg Cote show.
Yeah, thank you.
Fine.
Greg Cote
they
show
dropped
featuring Greg Cote.
Right.
No, not Greg Cote.
That's my
show.
apologies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry I screwed that up.
Right.
Yeah, it's with.
So it's a Greg Cote show featuring Greg
No,
Cote.
with.
Fine.
With.
I don't know what it is. I can't get that one down.
I'd have to have a pretty big ego to feature myself on my own show. It's with.
Well, it was a great day for songs on the show. And Chris Cote playing that great song gave us all the excuse that we need, I think, to relive one of my favorite songs that I've heard on this show in recent memory, the Me Maximum song.
Me maximum, me maximum, me maximum. Yeah, Greg is king and you're his peasants. Me maximum. Yeah, my way is the only way. Yeah, if we share a hotel room, you know who you answer to. Me maximum. You, my comfort is of most importance. Me maximum. You, say it again so they can hear it in the back. Yeah, when you are the patriarch, no one else
Station. Me maximum. Restaurant. Me maximum. Article. Me maximum. Greg Cote Show. Me maximum. PFBI. Me maximum. Back in my day. Me maximum. Hee-haw 3. Me maximum. It's hee-haw me.
That's so ridiculous.
We don't often do hard rock. We don't often do aggressive.
Soup of the day. Maximum. That kind of thing. Maximum. And you know it. Maximum. Pride of a lion. Maximum. Boat shoe. Maximum. Miller Lite. Maximum. In my garage. Maximum. All night. Maximum. Falling down. Getting hurt. That kind of thing.
Do you have a back in my day today?
Of course, you know better than to ask that. It's Heat playoff.
Yeah.
Plus, I've had a serious injury.
Tuesday.
Maintenance, yeah.
It's Tuesday.
No, but it's Tuesday in the midst of Heat Panthers playoff.
The only other time I think that we have done an aggressive song off the top of my head, because aggressive is hard. That was Mike. Mike, you did Pouncy Block. I want to revisit Pouncy Block real quick because going and summoning the stuff that you have to do the aggressive versions of this song makes it hard. I don't think many have tried it very much. So I just want to go back to reminding everyone of that time that the Dolphins thought they were going to win a game, and then the Jets, Darrelle Revis had a pick six, and Mike Pouncey was chasing him, and for reasons that were unbeknownst to everybody, when he realized he wasn't going to catch him, he just did a somersault, and Darrelle Revis ran 100 yards in the other direction. And for some reason, this made Mike Ryan do AC/DC.
Snapping balls is what you do. And you knew more is no help for you. 1 minute older than Marquise. Chop block again, please. Wish you block for playing. You've been Patsy blocked. Patsy blocked. Patsy blocked! Oh! Patsy blocked! Yeah!
Greg Cote, I've been remiss today. I owe the apology to the audience for a couple of things. One, I keep confusing you when I say the local hour is a different time than you expected. I'm sorry that I keep doing that. Two, I want to apologize because we have not gotten to any of your draft coverage. You are a draft expert. You had, again, more exactos, more Zagakis than anyone, except for a handful of people who had more. And
name them.
Peter Schrager.
Yep.
Really? How many?
He is claiming he had the most exactos of anyone who was doing mock drafts.
And how many would that be?
I'm reading the story right now, but it seems to like Greg. I'm looking at it right now. He had J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings, and he had Bo Nix to the Broncos.
I did too.
You had both those guys.
Mm-hmm.
He did, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Back off.
The Vikings one was,
I'm just pointing it out.
Why don't you know? Why don't you know what Greg has?
There was some question, I believe, and I could be wrong, about the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy, because Greg had the player going to the team, but at a different pick, because if you remember, the Vikings traded up. So there was kind of some confusion as to how that one would count.
I could see Greg making that an exacto. I can see, or a Zagacki. I could see him making that as Zagacki just because he got it in the right number, but not the right team.
Okay, there's
is there a controversy
around the other way.
This?
He got the right team, but the wrong number because the Vikings traded up.
Correct.
An exacto is the right player to the right team in the first round. Okay.
Oh.
And now a super exacto
Wait a minute. What?
Super Exacto.
Yeah, keep up there.
Just listen.
What?
Exactly.
That's
right.
what a Zagacto is.
No.
Super Exacto.
Yeah.
Super Exacto is a Zagacto.
You guys are confusing.
You
me.
guys,
Greg,
come on.
It's a different weight class.
Zagacto
Yeah.
or Zagacki? What's the best
This
of
is
the
already
things?
confusing
Zagacto.
enough.
No.
It's not a Zagacki. It's a Zagacto.
Let Greg speak.
You are.
It's a fine.
What is the best of them? What
Okay, a super Zagacto.
Wait a minute.
a
What?
No,
You
no.
just
hold on.
added
Let's
super.
start
to
again.
this.
Let's start
Love of
again.
You know that you just added super to this to make it extra
No.
confusing.
There's Exacto, Super Exacto.
I didn't even
Zacacto,
know what an
Super
Exacto and a Zagacto was.
Hear the man out.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Let's let him talk.
A super Exacto,
That-
a.k.a. Zagacto, is right player to right team in exact order.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, there's a
But
Super
you-
Zagacto.
You said that there's a super Zagacto.
That's different than a super. Zagacto is a super Exacto.
When is there
a super Zagacto is different.
what is a super Zagacto?
A super Zagacto is the right player to the right team in the exact order.
Right.
Okay, that's
Yes.
so rare,
Yeah.
with especially because you'd have to factor in trades and everything, which is just
It's
a
rare, but you
hellscape.
got the first four this year.
A super
Yes.
Exacto, a super Exacto is
Or
getting
Zagacto.
J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings at 11 because they've traded up. That would be you've never done a super Exacto? You didn't have a trade knowing a trade. Have you ever had? Has there been? It's a unicorn, a super Exacto.
Zagactamundo.
I have 9 Exactos. 8 of them are super Exactos
Wow.
or Zagactos.
Yes.
The only exception, the only ordinary Exacto I have is McCarthy, because I had him going to Minnesota in the original 5th spot.
11th.
Or 11th.
11th.
But they traded up and ended up getting him 10th.
I'm seeing here Schrager had 12 team player matches in the first round.
Okay, I had 9.
Because of trades, they know he didn't necessarily hit all of them in the right selection spot.
Right.
It was a great mock. He had Chop going to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
okay.
but in fair, he works for the NFL, so
Okay, he had
what does
12,
he
so he
know?
has inside information.
Yeah,
Possibly.
no, there was
Yeah.
there was a profile done on him
right.
that says nobody works the bar at the combine better than Peter Schrager.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I've seen him there. You know, I go to the combine all the time.
That's
When's the
true.
last time
I'm
you were
studying
at the
film.
combine? Like seriously,
name the bar.
have you ever been to the combine?
He's not here to be
I
quizzed.
think I might have gone to
Greg-
the combine once.
Greg can tell you one thing about all of downtown Indianapolis. St. Elmo's.
Elmo's. Oh,
That's
my
all
God.
he can tell you.
That's
is
where everything
cocktail.
happens.
And that shrimp cocktail.
That's it. That's the
With
only
the
thing he
hot
can.
sauce.
He can't tell you anything else. But there are scouts there, and that is where the NFL goes to dine.
Yes.
Where the NFL goes to dine.
the only place.
And Schrager will work that room.
You know what? I give Schrager credit. It's tough getting 12. I had 9. Junior only had 8.
Yeah.
But is
And-
your analysis only going to be how many you got right and others got right? Or are you going to have good football analysis that people are going to want, or just self-involved meandering?
It's mostly self-involved meandering. But here's the thing, okay, and I'm being very honest right now. The reason that I can even compete with a Kuiper is that those guys overanalyze. They get so much information overload. They're hearing from so many people. They don't know what to do at the end of the day. Okay, I don't have that problem. I have my picks are.
You
at the-
streamline it.
You have plenty of
yeah,
problems.
You take all of their mock
Yeah,
drafts.
and you dealt with off the field stuff that none of them had to
Exactly
deal
right.
with.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Adversity.
Yeah, it's hard to get Zagactos, and it's even more difficult to get playoff tickets. As you know, the secondary market, there's all sorts of fees,
I was
prices.
just going
and
to do this for you. I
up,
was just gonna
down,
get
all
you there.
around. But
You say it's
thankfully,
hard. I've heard there's an easy way to do
There
it, Mike.
is. There is. And
What's
let
that?
me tell you the easiest way. It's to download the Game Time app, Billy. Create an account. Have you done this yet?
I have.
You have. And
Yeah.
you use promo code Dan?
I forgot.
Well, use promo code Dan.
And I was
for
kicking myself.
For $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Last minute tickets. I love the technology within this app because you could look to your left, look to your right. You could see all that from your seat. Lowest price, guaranteed. Great customer service. I've been in a pickle once before. Customer service got back to me like that. I got my money back and then some.
Everywhere in
low
the
price guarantee.
world, customer service sucks. Not at Game Time.
No, everywhere else, customer service is bad.
Everywhere else.
Not at Game Time.
Yep.
The only place I figured out how to make customer service good. That's my opinion. That's not part of the copy.
That's not just your opinion. That's a fact.
Guaranteed.
I'm downloading the Game Time app right now.
That's not guaranteed or a fact.
You don't know how to do
look
that.
At him. Look at him. Look at what he's doing. He's just pawing.
Promo code DAN, and on your first purchase, you get $20 off.
Billy, how could you forget to use the promo code?
I'm a numbskull.
Do better,
Flash
Billy.
pricing.
Yeah.
Do better.
Sometimes the prices go down the closer you get to tip off.
It's true.
I wrote a book.
That's an unbelievable. We won't do better than that today. We won't.
I wrote a book.
I mean, Greg's H&O is pretty great, though.
I wrote a book.